A very warm good evening to everyone on behalf of FDPPI. Today, FDPPI's Janvardhani webinar series, the tabletop discussion on non-personal data as soft asset for revenue generation. The discussion by our thought leaders, Navisa and Chairman FDPPI, and Shri M.G. Kondaraman, IRS retired Assistant Director and an advocate. Would like to give a brief introduction of Mr. M.G. Kondaraman. The profile is very beautiful. Anand had shared it with me. It's a beautiful profile. Anand, if you can host that profile on the system, it would be great for everyone to look at and get inspired.
Sure. Please do that. Please do that.
If I can just share, just give me a minute. Not share it. I don't have the sharing rights.
Okay. Sorry. I'll give the.
Yeah. Just let me know once I have the sharing rights.
Okay. I think you're there. You can share now.
Just a minute.
More, it is not coming. I think someone has given the.
I can share that now. I can share that now, seems.
Yeah.
I can share that. Yeah, probably now it's in a proper position to share. Yeah. Okay. Shri M.G. Kondaraman sir is an advocate and a consultant, master trainer of GST for CBIC, Government of India, faculty, National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes and Narcotics, member, State GST Committee, Federation of Karnataka Chambers of Commerce and Industry, member expert group on GST of Fiscal Policy Institute. Sir has authored a book titled GST at Glance, Concept, Law and Procedure, GST Classification, Ready Reckoner, a practical guide to GST practitioners examination, all published by Karnataka Law Journal and publication. Sir has recently even received a Samman Award from SEBIC by Shri Arun Jaitley, the Finance Minister, Government of India, during celebration of Founding Day by NASN on Sunday, 1st October 2017. M.G. Kondaraman sir has an outstanding faculty, is an outstanding faculty for NASN for his contribution in the field of training and capacity building.
I think that will suffice. Don't go further. Let's concentrate on.
No. I would like to highlight here. That's why I just wanted to make a point here. Sir has been guest faculty at various training institutes, right from National Law School of India, Fiscal Policy Institute. It's all on the screen. Probably everyone can have a glance at it. Sir is a very esteemed faculty at all of these institutes. He has conducted attended many conferences and seminars, and even been a speaker there. A list is here. We'll probably share his profile on navi.org. It's a very beautiful, the papers published by him, papers and articles published by him, probably everybody would like to have a glance at it. We have a GST expert here, which everybody was not aware of. With this, MD sir, we are glad that you are there today on today's panel discussion, along with Navi sir, who is even an expert in the field of data privacy. So over to you, Navi sir and MG sir, to take it ahead.
Okay, you can, okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. But I want my guru to start. I will be paying only a second this one role, as usual.
Good evening, friends.
Navi sir.
Yeah.
We should have called this as discussion of titans.
Okay.
Well said. Yeah.
I would like to actually prod Mr. Kondaraman to share his valuable views because recently we had a discussion with the MSME knowledge group, and that was the reason why I thought that we need to explore further this particular topic, wherein somebody other than people like us who are hardcore data protection people now, to actually reflect on some of these aspects, because I think the future of data business is what we need to actually recognize. Okay. We have discussed this concept of data business when we discussed the Non-Personal Data Governance Act. Now, there is a greater need to understand what happens when this data business becomes a reality. Many of us have been hearing that, oh, this PDPA itself has not come now. When will this Non-Personal Data Governance Act will come? It will never come for several years, kind of a thing. But as many of you must have observed, very recently, Niti Aayog released a document called Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture, DEPA. Okay. We have not yet studied it in greater detail, but when I go through that, it appears that there is some rollout of some of the concepts of consent manager, for example, which we discuss in PDPA, and this unlocking the value of non-personal data. This is being attempted through this Niti Aayog document. And they say that they have already tried to introduce this account aggregators in the financial services, which is the Reserve Bank of India project, which is already there. And they also want to roll out this DEPA architecture in the health sector, which means that already something is being done to recognize that there is something called non-personal data, which has a value. This very concept of data empowerment used in DEPA is actually a contrast to data protection. See, in whether it is an Information Technology Act or in IT Act, we are all saying, don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, you will go to jail, kind of a thing. Only the negative aspects of how data should not be used is being discussed in some of these laws. But what we are now moving on to is the new era where we are going to tell the industry, so far we have told you not to do so many things, but now we will tell you what you can do with data so that you can actually realize value. That is where this data empowerment concept is coming up. And that was what Chris Gopalakrishna committee also stated. Therefore, I feel that we are actually moving into a new kind of say development when this PDPA finally gets passed. It is not only the PDPA environment which is going to be unleashed, but along with that, we also are going to actually open out the doors for a new, you can say, business vertical called data business. Because the moment you recognize something as personal data, you simultaneously recognize what is non-personal data. And these regulations are talking of how to make money out of this non-personal data. So I think we are standing now at the kind of as a turning point in the history of data management in India. The days when we were looking at data as a cyber crime or something like that is slowly receding into the background, and we are looking at more positive aspects which we will be coming up. So it is in this context that I wanted somebody like Mr. Kodandaram with his background in taxation and other things to actually reflect. Now, if you look at an industry, you look at a manufacturing industry, how do they actually look at data? See, we look at data in a particular manner. We all have discussed personal data ad nauseum at various points of time. Now, what will a small scale industry or a group of such industries look at, how they look at data, and this concept of converting data into value, which is both the purpose of DEPA as well as the Non-Personal Data Governance Act. How will it affect these people positively? Will it open up new doors of opportunity is what we want to think. And that is what I want Mr. Kodandaram to just reflect of his thought process on how this non-personal data is emerging as an asset for doing business with it. Yeah, Kodandaram.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good evening, my friends. I'm really proud. In fact, I was in the pasture. It means in the last article, it was talking about pastures. It is not a new pasture for me. I have been in his pasture from last 20 years, 2 decades. So it's a pleasure. And secondly, when we talk about data as an asset, I do not presume it to be something new. Data in the digital form, what data we are getting was existing in another form earlier from the days of industrialization or even earlier to it. It's as old as the mankind and the skill of the person. So to put my things, I think most of you have read through the wonderful article of our maker. So that article, I'll take it as a base and I will give 10 minutes introduction. How I would like to pose myself, saying that it is not something new we need to go on looking into. We have not excavated the treasure, we are already having it. This is the treasure available with us, wasted by us, maybe not in a digital form earlier. Now it is becoming digital form. We do not have a law to protect it, no doubt, like IP. So in my discussion in the beginning, I would like to give you an introduction about the evolution of industry for a couple of minutes. Then how information in other states, because when we talk about data, data doesn't have its value unless it is made into a uniform or meaningful informations, useful informations. Merely generating a data will create a data indigestion. I'll be telling my officers, the data will be going on your dashboards. Crime is happening, but you do not know to find out there's a crime. What is the use of the data? So data indigestion and information starvation. The other aspect about it, in Indian ethical aspects, we have not looked into recording something. That's the past mistake we have. All our traditional values also have lost because of it. So we need to gear up to the new scheme. This is what I would like to explain step by step. For 10 minutes, I'll take time from Navi to give you an outlook about what is the information evolution that has taken place in different industrial or skill journey. And at the end, later on, after some more discussions, I would like to add how IP is evaluated and how IP is different than this value. What are the differences between the data that is being generated and as an IP, how it will have a kind of a difference. Then what is the accounting standards that are stumbling blocks for data? That also, of course, I'm a science graduate, but with my experience in the background to some extent to look into the financial aspects, certain things I have picked out, some standards which I would like to reveal at the end. So with this in background, I start my talk. I want to share my presentation. It's a very small presentation made out of pictures so that everybody can realize the situations what we undergo. I think I'm through, sir.
Yeah.
So industrial revolution you can think of for IP products, but for skill evolution, it is as old as humankind. Even today, when we talk about data, we need not much worry about the cyber data information that comes there. That should be converted into information. So we have to evaluate the information. Per se, it's just like the waves and the water. What we to look after is not about the waves, but the water. Without the water, waves cannot be. The waves may be rapid, they may be damaging, but the content inside, what is more important is the water. So with that Adhyatmaka aspect into it, today we are telling we are into smart business facilitations. What is this smart is all about? It is bringing physical and cyber together. So I would like to give you a slight background of it. I think the picture will speak of. When we started industrialization, then only we started evaluating the information, the skills we have. We wanted that to be also to be recognized as a property. Till then, we are not worried. Of course, India was never industrialized to that extent in those 1700s. And therefore, our habits were not that. At the time, the knowledge was shared between the family, within the family, or within the closed network, or within the group of work, with the oral aspects. That was the way the information was given. Then it put into writing. That is, we call it as Industrial 2.0, where mass production started. Electricity made it a kind of a industrial production possible. So electricity played a pivotal role in Industrial 2.0, where we had mass production. Earlier it was mechanization, physical way of getting the industrial products in a very hard way and communicating in a normal way. At that time, any secrets could not have been trade secrets. Information is in the form of trade secrets throughout. Even today, it has to be protected under trade secrets only, because we do not have any sui generis as on today. So when you look into this information, it was there in the oral, then it became into a writing fashion. Then we started having printed versions and started getting into agreements with the technological approvals, especially in Industry 3.0, where we had automation, computers coming into it around 1990s. Then technology transfer, all these things started happening in a rapid square. But Industry 4.0 is totally different than all of this. The one aspect about 1.20.30 is the information and the basis for information was very less. In fact, 1.0 is almost a kind of a crude way we used to communicate with each other. Then 2.0, there was some acceleration that came. In 3.0, much more acceleration. In 4.0, we are trying to make it automated. Information, the data will become an information, again it will create data, again an information. How? We will just look in. That's the beauty of Industry 4.0, where we call it a smart working atmosphere. Their cyber law, physical systems, they have come through internet and various other things. We'll just look in. This is from a crude person's view I am talking, because I'm a very late bloomer as far as cyber technology is concerned, but I have tried to make best use of it. So it's a disrupting the traditional business, I keep on saying. You had computers, you had microprocessors, computer graphics, networks, databases, artificial intelligence, all of them coming and attacking with the CNC, CAD, CIM, IMS, robotics. All these are all getting converted, the physical world and the virtual world, turning it out to be a kind of a data field where there is data which has to be deciphered into information. Kindly note it. And not only deciphered into information, that should be converted into useful information where I can fetch some value. Otherwise, it will be just like a overflowing oil which simply goes and gets wasted. It has been beautifully explained by Navi in the recent article. Another one small slide that we can see. Whenever any exchange happened in the earlier era, in the traditional era, as well as in this era, it is always a person will create. For example, a simple example about a graphite becoming a diamond tool. So graphite, which is naturally available, will not add value unless somebody knows the skill of converting into a diamond, and thereon it can be used for cutting tools. These are all the technological aspects, upgradation skills required. So he will create, and it is to communicate to somebody for which there was no remuneration. Thereby, the intellectual property laws were given to a kind of a encouragement. Then from there, it was aggregated, put together. They were analyzed, they were acted upon. Then looking into the results, they used to create. So this was the issue. You can take it to the traditional one. Orally, he will create, he will communicate to some nearby, he will exercise it, he will analyze it, he will act it, tell the reaction. Again, that was a very slow cycle. As computerization happened, this circle started moving very fast. But today what is happening is the physical link. What has happened? Creation and action is automated almost. There is a huge generation of data that will act using artificial intelligence, and again it will create data, and this cycle goes on without interference by the human being. That's the danger, or things where we have to give facility to monitor it, make it useful information, then only I can evaluate it. This is missing in the present era. This I'll take it up later. I'll stop it for the time being. We will take up the situation. So now, sir, what you are talking about is, I think I have written a comment also in that, saying that it is not something new. Something past has already happened. In the days of traditional knowledge, which we have lost, to create GI, geographical indications recently in 2000, we had lost so much of traditional knowledge, where my haldi was stolen, my basmati was stolen, my neem was stolen. So also all my technology, yoga. You have yoga patent available in US. It's the skill, information available in India, which we neglected. There is one word, Hittalagida Maddalla. Like that, we have behaved in such a way, we have not documented. Why we lost all this is only improper documentation. We never gave value to the skills. We just spread it without proper accountability. But if we keep on doing this, we are going to have a very bad days ahead. To give you a practical view, let us look into one small example, and I'll give it to Naviji. It's just like the game of hockey. No doubt, we were the rulers of hockey. But what went wrong? Hockey did not lose its popularity. Hockey did not lose its players. The skills improved, but what happened? There was a speed hockey invented to popularize it. So there was artificial turf, artificial methods where speed guided and physical fitness wanted with much more vigor so that you can win. So we lost in hockey because we need not upgrade ourselves to the required skills. So our gold has become a dream again. So until and unless we come up with that kind of abilities where you are physically fit and you start playing physical endurance hockey, you will not dream of it. Similarly, the era has changed. You cannot remain in the traditional way of getting an information in a very slower way, trying to nod it. By that time, you will diminish and your industrial things are lost. Today, when you look into the MSMEs, they are losing their sheen because of this kind of approach that was being very vocal on this. But as against this, see our cricket game. They adapted themselves. Today, they are the masters of the game. So this is where Indian people should shrug all their laziness, come out with this digital technology and tell there is nothing new in this, gentlemen. These are all informations. We will go on doing it, and now itself we can create. We are losing a lot of values. This is my opinion, sir. Given to Navi, sir, for further discussions.
As you have pointed out, intellectual property rights was one way by which value was created out of an intangible concept. Okay, so today when we talk of trademark or say copyright on codes, which is either in the form of a software or in the form of a content, we know that it is an intangible asset, but still a value is recognized. And to some extent, the intellectual property law has developed to such an extent that the value of intellectual property can be brought into the balance sheets of the companies. Okay. Now, I am looking at the way we are looking at the development of the data business. Now, when we are looking at the data today, now if you look at personal data, and if I ask somebody whether you can value the personal data, perhaps it is possible to value the personal data by the perceived market value of the data. For example, we know that in the dark web, there is a quotation for various kinds of data. For example, a live active, say credit card data, we say $100 or something like that, health data, some value. So it is possible to look at personal data from the perspective of rupee value, which can be brought into the balance sheet. But there are other kinds of data, which is, let us say, anonymized personal data. Now, how do we value this anonymized personal data is one question. And when you anonymize a personal data, does the value increase or decrease is another issue. See, now when we are going into the data protection regime, assuming that every data is protected properly and no leak happens like your Dr. Lal PathLabs or something like that, then personal data becomes usable for the purpose for which it has been shared by the data subject with one controller. Now, after that controller exhausts the use of that personal data for that particular purpose, this becomes a data set. Now, while he is holding the data set, if he is able to anonymize it, then perhaps he is actually creating a value out of that data set. So this anonymization, which actually is a deletion of some identity elements, may actually be adding value to the data. But will a chartered accountant recognize the data and be able to put it like our IPR for trademark? We put it and create a special reserve. Of course, today's accounting principles do not normally permit the use of this intellectual property value brought into the balance sheet for the purpose of dividend distribution or something like that. But it can still remain in the balance sheet as a asset which shows up the value of the company. Same way, data also we should be able to bring to the balance sheet. So as I told, personal data perhaps you can value. Then the data which is gathered, sometimes we can also value it at replacement cost. That is, what is the cost of acquiring the same data? For example, if X company is doing some business and Y company wants to come into the same business, they want to get the same 1 million data, there is a cost of collection of that data. That will be perhaps cost which is going into your revenue expenditure account. At the same time, the value can also be reflected as a asset, at least in the mid-term or medium-term asset. Now, these are some of the thoughts which we would like to actually explore. How do we value the data in such a manner that it can be brought into the balance sheet? And if that is so, I am also looking at the data which is in a certain life cycle, we say, okay, you collect the data and sometimes you enrich the data by adding new elements to that data. Sometimes you aggregate and create more value. So either by enrichment or aggregation horizontally or vertically, you are creating a new type of data. And if you are having a proper methodology, you can even create a profile out of that data. Now this profile is actually like a finished product, which is sold to the advertising industry. So if you look at data business as a business which takes the raw material data and converts it during the process into a value-added finished goods, that is the kind of data business which we are looking at as a possibility. If so, I am coming back to the question that if I am a small scale industry or an organization, or even you take the example of say Navi.org or Cyberlaw College, now for 20 years if content has been built up, today in my balance sheet it will show as zero value. Is it proper, or should there be an accounting system where this data is capable of being reflected? Is something which we need to look at. Now, I was already referring to this DIPA sometime back, that is this data empowerment architecture. It recognizes that there should be a data owner and he should be capable of realizing the value. Now, the question of the data subject, whether he's a owner or not, from the perspective of providing consent, that has been addressed in Indian law by making this data fiduciary concept. whereas outside the country, for example, in CCPA, it is considered as ownership and sale of personal data is possible. So internationally, there are ways by which people are recognizing personal data as if it is the data of that individual who owns the data. Now, similarly, our Non-Personal Data Governance Act recognizes that whoever generates the data, if it's an individual, it's an individual non-personal data. If it is a company, it is a private non-personal data. If it is a government, it is a sovereign data. So there is a recognition of data on ownership basis. Now, similarly, in the company also now can claim that I have data as an asset and I want it to be brought into the balance sheet. One of the reasons why this is drawing my attention in the current scenario is because most of you are aware of the issue of Net4 India, a company which was in a big data business, and it went into liquidation. And at the time of liquidation, I felt that the NCLT, the company tribunal, did not recognize the value of data as an asset in this company, looked at only perhaps the physical assets which were there, some computers, network cables or something like that, and maybe the building. They took stock of physical assets, but they forgot to take stock of the data assets. Okay. Now, of course, they have tried to make some changes, but I felt that going forward, many of the companies which are getting into this data business will have the disadvantage that their balance sheet will always be showing zero value of the assets, whereas they would have spent hundreds of crores of rupees in building that asset. I feel that we in the industry should somehow try to see how this valuation is brought into the balance sheet. And later on, we will discuss whether a bank is likely is that, or even finance against that. That is a different issue. But to start with, when we are looking at this Personal Data Protection Act becoming a law and the Non-Personal Data Protection Act coming up and the data, that is the data empowerment architecture being adopted, we should start a debate on how do we bring the value of data into the balance sheet, whether it is personal data or non-personal data. I think that is what I would like Mr. Kodandaramman to now add some thoughts. For example, can we have GST? I say when we were discussing the Bitcoin some time back, many people were telling that you consider Bitcoin as a commodity and you charge GST, government will make money out of it. In fact, Bitcoin is also nothing but data. Now, similarly, this industrial data, whether we can provide a value and then bring it to the balance sheet, if it is brought to the balance sheet, whether it should be outside the IT, GST and other things, if there is a sale of personal data allowed in, let us say, CCPA kind of a situation, should not that sale be also be coming under GST? So this is a thought which I would like Mr. Kodandaramman to reflect on. How to bring the value and how to, what will be the consequences of bringing data as a valuable asset in the company balance sheet. Yeah, Kodandaramman.
Yeah, my screen is visible, sir?
Yeah.
Sorry. See now, except when you compare our data to IP, except they are intangible, there is nothing common because law treats them as on today differently. Unless we legislate something where that treatment becomes on par. To become that legal treatment on par, there are certain more characteristics need to be adapted by the data industry to grow to that level of an IP. So unless that is inbuilt into the data system, it is not possible to have. So now I am taking this multifaceted question by you with 2-3 things aspects. One is the cyber physical system as it is, how it is generating the data and how it should be evaluated to get a kind of an IP status later. As on today, IP and the data, what are the differences? Why IP is given a prominence? Why not data? What are the shortcomings in the data? Those things we will discuss. And at the end, for assessing, valuing an IP, what are the parameters as per the Indian standards? In fact, for learning this, I spent the whole of yesterday also to some extent, because I am also a new learner. And there, what are the standards where two aspects of it becomes an impediment in evaluating the data? That also I will bring in, and we will keep the open for discussions later, where how we have to really discuss. That's what I plan to. You know very well, the cyber physical system with a lot of other things, plenty of things. I do not know how to explain each one of them. It will take time and is not required. Because in FTPPI, once we have heard Navi, you would have spoken this umpteen number of times on all his articles. If you look in, you will know all this what I have listed there. Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, including your cryptocurrencies, bitcoins. Here, the industrial development become a digital enterprise now. Almost like a digital enterprise 4.0. You see, you have an industrial big data that is being generated. It is automated. That could be sold outside also. Internet of Things, remotely doing the things. Product life cycles are very, very less. Like patent, if you give 20 years, your data may not survive even for 6 months or 1 year. So to that extent, how far the separate treatment is required also need to be sent. It need not be treated like on par with any IP data. There is a need of a sui generis, means a specific law for this is required. A separate dress need to be stitched depending upon this. So if we look into the analysis of IP, data and their other characteristics, then except they are both of them are intangible, nothing is common. So once they are not common, all other characteristics, what are the characteristics? I'm going to tell you for your evaluation purpose later. There is impossibility of getting the same status of IP unless we upgrade this data available with us on par with the IP. How? Just all other things you know very well. I don't want to spend time on that. First of all, any data that comes, let it be from the oral form days to the present days of data, it has to be productively improvement. It should help, the data generated should help in the productivity, further productivity of that industry. Then only it is. It should reduce the risks. Then only it is valuable, not otherwise. Unless productivity is improved, risk reduction happens, the data is meaningless. It is just a waste which we have to throw away. So there, how do you convert the data which you are gaining from an industrial activity, where you generate a lot of data because a lot of sensors are there, a lot of IT equipments are in and around being fetched, because industrialization 4.0 is not something happening now and here. It is something gradually taking place. Kindly look in. Because why I say is, recently I was, I think last year I was called by one of my friend who has a very big press in Bangalore. My son is pressurizing me to get latest printing press. I am telling him this press itself is sufficient. Kindly look in and advise him. I had paid a visit. I had made him to take a decision whether it is worthwhile to go for a new musician. Then the boy said, no uncle, I don't want. He said, this itself I will improve, because the people needing a printed item has reduced. Even people have stopped reading newspapers. You forget about using the regular type of diaries, calendars, things like that. And the present itself, the machine which they are having, it's more than their need. It is not working for 24/7. And you have to have a skilled labor. You have to have huge investment with no returns for so many years. But with this itself, some slight improvement if you do, you can have one shift only, you can have more production. All this we worked out. We gave him some of the inputs where he can use certain technological developments which he has studied in the college into his present machine itself. Why I gave this example is, it is not something new. You have to bring 4.0 and start doing it, investing huge amount. With the available ones, you can explore. What is required is productivity improvement, risk reduction should happen, and it should be able to meet your expectation to the market. Once your data could do it, then you should try to sell the data. Only when you start selling the data, then only you may think of certain revenue aspects. Unless an item becomes where it can generate some revenue, we cannot call in the accounting parlance as an asset. An asset is something where I am sure of some future gains. Then only I can capitalize that amount. Otherwise, I cannot treat it as a capitalized amount. Whether IP does it, you will see. You will answer me whether it does or not. Why I'm telling this is, unless these steps are taken, these steps could have taken long back. In the second, third generation itself, it would have been more rampant. Informations were available, may not be in the dot of digital form. Later on, it is in the digital form. After the computer intervened in 3.0, it was available. It is being wasted. We should have done all these experiments and be ready for 4.0 to exploit, which the developed nations have already done. They are gone. You will see the examples how IT industry have developed their search of the data being converted into a useful thing. It's fantastic, but our people are still lagging behind because they are not changing their attitude to protect their skills, protect their ingenious ideas. We will just look into another one. We always say IP right and data right are one and the same. You look into the IP rights. IP rights are exclusive rights awarded. Nobody else can use it without the permission of the owner. In the case of data, you are not the owner. That data could be generated by anybody of similar industry, and you do not have any right to say, because any ownership, it doesn't come whether it is a tangible or intangible. It comes only when by law it is recognized as your property. In the IP, informations embedded, or that is data, embedded data are treated as IP rights. Still today, if there is a computer equipment embedded with the programs inside, that's treated as available for protection under IP. If there is, other steps are also important, because getting a legal status under IPs are not that easy. There are a lot of inventions which are not become inventions as per the Patent Act, and they are not given claims. So there is that data which comes into your data field again. So patent, just because there is an invention, patent will not get the rights unless the claim is new, unless it has an inventive step, unless it is a non-obvious, and if it is an industrial utility. Kindly look into the last one. I call it as none. I am talking about only patent law. You look into the another law, copyright, there also. And another thing is, here IP rights, though given for exclusively the rights in the intangible form, they exist in the output that they are tangible. Unless there is an expression, you cannot get a copyright. Just because you tell me a story, I listen it, it doesn't. Unless I document it or I write it down, it's my copyright. For example, you take the Ramayana story, is known to everybody. Who owns the copyright for it? If I write Ramayana today, for my expressions, I own my copyright. So that is where you have exclusive rights. Only when you are an exclusive rights owner, you can give it for licensing, because without your permission, he cannot use it. So you can keep your ownership rights title intact and give the utility rights, and then take license and royalty, and then it becomes a kind of a capital equipment. Kindly look in. It becomes almost similar to a capital equipment when it starts generating revenue, and you can book, this year I got this revenue, next year I'm going to get out of this assets. Then it is rightly treated as assets. Unless we are able to take our data information to become such equipments where they will give benefits, we will not. So their legal status, it is given by law for the inventors, for the creators, for the designers, even design. For example, a textile design is also protected under Design Act for 15 years. because it is very dynamic. Beyond 15 years, it may not survive. So they have. There also, it should be visible and it should be for the characteristics. So what I'm stressing here is the legal status is not there for data. Then is data not protected as on date? Yes, it is protected. My information, data, which is to be shared with my co-worker or my competitor, which I want to share, I can even today enter into a common law protection as trade secrets. Even today, I can have it, share it as a trade secret. And if there is a violation of this trade secret, very easy. If the trade secret is violated, then I have to go for common law relief. Under IP law, it is easy to get the reliefs, but under common law, it is very difficult to prove that he has violated my conditions of the contract. It's a contractual applications. So there, it's volatile. So data, when it becomes only protected by common law, like a trade secret, even IP where it is not setting into the records or this one eligibility conditions, they are also becoming data. They are also same situation. For example, your Pepsi is having their the secret of manufacturing that essence as a trade secret only. Their advantage there is using reverse engineering, nobody can exploit. But in the other datas, it is easily exploitable, and therefore trade secret is not a suitable thing. So we need to search for it. So we need to search for getting a legal status, where to get that legal status, I must be able to create a kind of an asset. To become an asset, I should be able to generate some revenue out of it. Then only my shareholder will accept it as an asset. Otherwise, he says, no, sir, it's only a wasteful thing which I don't want. That should not happen. Then must be an invention, creation, expression. There are conditions available. There are no such stipulations in the data. As on today, data itself has not become an information. Even data is not segregated. Data is not identified. They are not processed. They are not valued. They are not worked out for value addition, as our Vijay Shankar ji now was telling. Nothing is done. On a raw data available as a spill oil, unless you process the oil, bring diesel and petrol out of it, how can you evaluate it? That's the one. Then essentials lies in intangible in outputs. So though IP rights are intangible, they exist in the tangible items. My patent right exists in my mobile phone. In fact, you will be wondering, in mobile phone, more than I am told, some lakhs of patents are there, standards are there. All of them under FRAND agreement, they have come together under one umbrella. They have agreed upon for a kind of a FRAND agreement price. I do not want to explain much on that. So there, they have come to kind of a bargaining one, where they will say, no, this trade, this one patent, you use it, I will standardize it, so I will get more volumes, I'll get more business. So like that, even in the copyright, for example, broadcasting of a music, recently they said they have given certain rates. That rates are all commonly applicable. That because of the volume, it fetches them something. So like that, it is always the tangibles which are recognized, not intangibles. Rights are intangible, but they are hidden or carried through the expressions or the tangible items. That is not happening in the data. In data, both output and input, where we want to measure, remains in the intangible state. It's a virtual state. There is no scope for getting tangible things out of it. Limited by law. Of course, they are all for limited law. Their copyrights, you have life of the author, 60 years, and other broadcasting rights, things like that. And in case of other things, less. For trademark, perpetual you can have. Geographical indications, which were values we have lost on the from the traditions. Now we have started recognizing them as something of our own, and we have started geographical indications so that they can market it. Valuation methods, yes, for everything exists. You can have inventive method even for data, but that will not be a credible system. But in my own humble way, I have tried to give 2 or 3 clues where we can take it up, which I will discuss now. So what data, how it can be? You can see the 6 biggest companies by market capitalization are happening. Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, everything is data oriented one. They have whatever they have stored from the public, they are using it as a capital one to make profit. Kindly note it. Facebook uses my data, makes it as a kind of a utility for others, and it gains value, it gets advertisement from other things, sources. So because there is a revenue being generated, we can call it as a capital. Then what is for my data in the manufacturing sector, I should do it is, you have to identify them. This is what in my reply also I try to highlight a bit. Then you have to identify the data attributes, what are the qualities, and identify current data users, whether I can improve. Then again, that cycle should go on. This experiment is missing in our Indian scenario, industrial scenario. Though it is happening remotely, a kind of a trade secret also it may be happening, but it is not being channelized properly so as to claim for a IP. So data, could it be the most valuable asset? Yes, it can be. And how it has to be evaluated? I have some more discussions. I don't want to bore. I'll give a break and ask Naviji to pass it on further.
Interesting to see that you are distinguishing the IP rights and the data rights, and highlight why it is difficult to assign value to the data, or at least that there has to be a new law. I don't know whether we require a new law or the existing law, or let's say the Non-Personal Data Governance Act. The objective itself is to unlock the data value. The moment it says unlock the data value, there is a legal permission for valuation. And there is a sale of data which is possible. And we are also going to have what we may call as like stock exchanges. We will be having exchanges for non-personal data. That is also part of your Non-Personal Data Governance Act. So I think within the Non-Personal Data Governance Act, which would define how data can be sold and bought or something like that, the permission to assign a value will be there. So I don't see there is a separate law which says that you can assign value. Now, how to assign value? Of course, it depends. Say, unless there is a buyer, you don't have a value to the product. But remember that even in our current physical scenario, look at, let us say, an agricultural produce kind of a thing. Suppose you have got a house, there is a mango tree there. Now, even before the mango tree will give you the fruits next season, today somebody may be willing to come and negotiate with you. Please sell me whatever mangoes are going to be produced in the next season. So a non-existent asset is perhaps traded. So similarly, a data, now for example, I will give you one more this thing. Let us say there is a hospital. Say somebody starts a nursing home today. Okay, there are doctors who have given a project saying that I will make that much of profit, this much of profit. That's a separate project analysis which any finance company, finance person will do. Now I will go to that hospital and say that over a period of time, you are going to generate health data of all your patients. I don't want the identifiable data because that I know is not saleable. Okay, but I will enter into a contract with you that you anonymize the patient data. I am willing to give you a contract for the next 10 years to buy this. So here what is happening, this nursing home is generating a revenue stream from the future anonymized data which becomes saleable. So now that is the thing which I say that in evaluating this health data project, if I am a banker, I want to finance this nursing home, and if the entrepreneur says, please don't stop at looking only my current revenue and other things, this is a new byproduct which I am generating, and from in the future years, this byproduct will have as much value or more than what I get out of my health services. Now that is the situation we have to drive towards, so that data becomes a respected business asset, and maybe it will help this industry. For example, we are talking of small scale industry. Now, every industry develops some kind of production data. Now, if it is one single company's data, it may not have value. But if I have 100 small scale industries, production data of all the 100 is aggregated, suddenly there is a value. Some research agency is going to say that I am going to give you money for this production data. So this data is such a beautiful concept that there can be a lot of hidden values which we need to actually unravel. So that provision is what I am trying to look at. Starting from today, maybe it will take 3 years, but we have to start thinking in this direction is my thought process. Already there are some questions which are coming up to learn, Raman. So
just take a couple of minutes to unravel yours. Now, the next proposal to start, don't wait for an exchange to be started by the government. Now itself, we can start Navi exchange. It cannot be a kind which can be attached to FDPPI. It has to be a separate stream because the objective of PDPA are totally different. Here, we all want to consolidate the fundamental rights of the citizens. But in the other one, we are going to commercialize non-personal data as well as the personal data which have been anonymized. So there, the objective is more for an MBA student, for a chartered accountant, for others to play with, especially MBAs, skills, engineers, to play with those dramas. And for us, here, for the lawyers who want to prevail this one. So there are two streams, but there is no harm in starting a Navi exchange and another kind of organization under the umbrella as a separate wing where we can have this as a thing. Because unlike IP where single-handedly a man can open, have a ownership, here ownership, that kind of ownership is not possible because data life is very less. Secondly, only when such data are aggregated in the way what you are telling, it is possible. In that way, how you can do it, I will also explain to you now. So when we do that, then certainly value addition can be done. So taking this into the group, unlike the IP here, aggregation is possible. Aggregation need not be done by the government. It can be done by any agency. Then we can get the recognition because Bombay Stock Exchange was not started by the government. Similarly, the data exchange could be started here itself. Now and here you can inaugurate. Okay, that's my idea. So I'll go to my last slide where it will be interesting, where your point of view and mine have come together. I do not know, I have not discussed this with you, but God is kind enough to bring it together. See here, there are three methods possible. One is cost method. What is the cost I have borne for it? Yes, but it doesn't have value unless I switch on to an income method. Last year, using this data, I got this income, then I can throw on this cash flow. So I may be getting my cash flow in the future. Then I get a credible answer to fit into my accounting status. So when my cost method itself is there, and if I do not explore further to make it as an income method, it is not validly acceptable in the Indian standards as on today. What it is, I'll let you know. But when I flourish, similar products, my income is this, other fellows of like product is there, then I start comparing it, then that will be more credible data. Means there further characteristics we need to identify. They are identifiability nature. Ownership is not possible like IPA Act. I cannot say I am the owner. It's a kind of a consolidation and ownership. And there we have to give, this is your data you are giving it. For this, I got this total income when I made it as an exchange. This is the income. In this, my share is this. My interest or my commission is this. There are 6 players who gave this data. For 6 people, I am sharing it. Like that kind of sharing we need to do. So there, ownership title is not possible. Economic benefits to be driven. What's the fair value? Revaluation, all this you don't have to worry. But Indian standards, I will read it quickly for you to not to bring it. Because it can become a facet as per the 21 AS, that number I am not able to see. Oh, let me come back. So under Indian standard, entry number 21, it says, it should be expected future economic benefits and measured reliably. So both characteristics can be possible in the income method only. where ownership I cannot establish, but I can still treat it as my asset, then I have to see for future economic benefits. For need, I need to work out a kind of an exchange I should try to develop with the help of those MSMEs. They are simply having an association. They can start an exchange there itself. That's the best way. Because if there is a kind of a group of industries coming together, for recently I went to northern state where they have perfumery, what do they say, call it as a group of people manufacturing perfumery items, like our Sivkasi, where they have such people, they can start this kind of exchange, data exchange, once they automated their processes. Then of expected future economic benefits could be where it is possible to evaluate. I will sit and evaluate for you, provided we try to make it as an asset in the realistic form possible. Even today we can start. There is no harm in this at all. So coming back, because we have not attained, not that we don't have the data, we have the data, we have not made into useful information which can be marketed. There we need to develop, we need to focus. We not wait for that law to be passed, governance. As on today, we can start an exchange without any hindrance. That's my observation. And I always say contentment is the highest gain. Good company is the highest scores, which I have been enjoying throughout my life. Inquiry and peace of the highest enjoyment. So this is stopping of my presentation and open it for further discussions and clarifications to the extent, because here we are talking about a kind of a thing which can be done. So you may not have examples, much examples. One example is of that, I can say even IP law, when they evaluate, it can have a crash land. What was the value of Jet Airlines? What is the value within no time it happened? So even though you evaluate, they do not have any standardized. You say, take of the Enron. What happened to Enron, which was audited? We are talking about Lal Path Labs, which is a small person when compared to Enron, which was ruling the US. Their PwC were the auditors. What happened to PwC? Nothing. So when you look into these examples, yes, we can take this forward. With this, I'll stop my presentation and I open the issue for discussions.
Thank you. You mentioned that we can do it under present law, because I have discussed this a number of times under what is called the consent manager. This thing that is since PDPA 2018 version came, I've been telling consent manager is the greatest concept. That is where all these things can be done. Yeah, we'll look for some questions now.
You can inaugurate Navi Exchange and have another parallel organization like FDPPI, but let it be headed by a young fellow who will have to move around. He must be an MBA man, non-legal person is sufficient, technologically savvy guy. He should be that person who will be able to see these things. Then only we can make it into a valuable asset. Data as a valuable asset. That's all. That's my observation.
Yeah. Questions? Any questions? Like, or anybody?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No. If anybody raises a question, we can perhaps look at something specifically.
There are a lot of questions written. I do not know how to read it. I'm not that tech savvy.
Or somebody can actually unmute and then raise their questions also. We have got yeah, Meena.
So Meena Lal here.
Yeah.
So just sharing an observation which happened in the very recent past when the Reliance Telecom case was being argued in Supreme Court. The issue that came up before, that was raised by Reliance before Supreme Court, is that they are undergoing NCLT proceedings. I'm saying this in the context of Net4 that Mr. Navi raised. So the argument which was placed before Supreme Court is that the spectrum which is held by Reliance is an asset of Reliance, and that should be allowed to be commoditized as in the list of assets of Reliance. Supreme Court gave a huge pushback. It said, no, that is not. So, you know, what is happening today legally, really the debate is when it comes to the government to charge revenues, taxes, etc., the government will say that all natural resources are there are to be levies on natural resources, including water. So even water, there is, for commercial use of water, there is GST payable on water also. But I'm saying India is so far not mature even to think that an asset which was acquired, we will call it an asset in the industrial or commercial terms, which is a spectrum, that should be allowed to be included in the list of assets. That's an issue pending in the courts right now. So, to say that data eventually, yes, it will, but I'm saying there is some distance in time, I'm saying.
No, this spectrum issue should be considered as a sovereign asset, licensed or leased for use under the licensing terms, like it happens in IPR also. Okay, so maybe if you look at it, like maybe this was not part of the spectrum contract. They might, I don't know if you maybe that might have used the term sale or something like that. They should have actually used the term licensing. That is, government owns the spectrum because it is a sovereign asset, and they should have said that during the licensing period, spectrum is allowed to be used by this particular bidder. Then perhaps this question which has come now would not have come. Now Supreme Court should actually read down it like that, then it will be fine. Otherwise, there will be, as you said, it looks a little unfair. But spectrum is definitely something which is an indication of how data can have super value, crores of rupees worth of this thing. Where is spectrum? It is just a licensing term, no?
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, when mining lease is given, it is classified insofar as Ind AS is concerned, it is classified as intangible because it cannot be outrightly given away to anybody without permission of the sovereign. So similarly with spectrum, these are all licenses given in the shape of license. So, obviously they also cannot be given away without, but I'm saying that, we have to, the society has to, the understanding has to mature quite a bit to understand that data also can become an asset. I'm very intrigued by the subject itself.
Even this licensing could have been allowed for sub-licensing during a particular period. For example, let us say I've got a domain name valid for 10 years. Now, maybe you can create a situation where I can sub-lease that for the next 5 years. It's like your residential property, rental property, which is sublet or something like that. Maybe that is also a concept which we have to look at if you want to ensure that this data, like spectrum or anything else, has a persistent value. For example, this Net4 India kind of a thing. If we say that no, you are once you are not in business, license comes to zero. This is not a transferable license. When you say that, you are valuing it as a gone concern basis. So value suddenly comes down to zero. But if you want to retain the data set value, government should think of saying that this is a license and I have given it to you for so many years. Within these so many years, I allow you to sublease. Maybe after that 5 years, the lessee also will not have any rights. Then during that particular period, the asset value will be preserved.
Yeah.
Okay. I think your companies like yours should start thinking about moving the public, the government view towards this, because you are one of the companies which will have so much of non-personal data. So you have to start looking at data business, opening a data business company 2 years, 3 years down the line, isn't that?
So the balance sheet, there has to be a separate segment
that's why today,
data business.
Today I am saying that we have to identify that value, catch that value, put it either even as a contra entry. What I am suggesting today is in the balance sheet. Let us start putting it at a contra entry. I don't want to enter into an argument with a chartered accountant, but I want to say contra entry. I will put this value and put a counter value on the other side so that my balance sheet value doesn't change. Let us see how it emerges after some time, and your own management will perhaps decide that in my contra item, so many crores of data is shown. Now, should I not start a data business?
It's very interesting, actually.
People who are in the personal data protection today will have to, that is the next career for you.
Absolutely.
After other people come and occupy your seat, what will you do? You have to go and create another area. So this is the area where you perhaps can start looking at a project 2 years hence. Tatas will have a data business kind of a thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, there are, I think we ran out, we are 15 minutes stretched to more than 15 minutes now. So are we good to close, or are you okay to take one more question, sir, as a last question? I think
If it is on
Harish
the
raised
point
his hand.
what we have discussed, if it is on the point which you have discussed, I am okay. I can take it.
Okay, Harish has raised a question. We will take Harish's question as a last question. Harish, if you are there, please can you share your question?
Yeah. See, you are telling Facebook is using my data and making business. But we have to consider how much money he has spent by giving you free of service. So how are we considering this
That is the
acquisition?
that is the exchange
Yeah,
which is happening today. Maybe there has to be more transparency. That's all.
Harish, your observations are very much clear. I am talking that issue in the form of how to evaluate. When the value comes, no doubt for storing he has spent money. Now he is gaining revenue. Because he is gaining revenue, it becomes an asset. That's what is the example I gave it. I never thought the storing itself becomes the owner. There he has converted it into a kind of a data model, data into a profitable model. For that he has spent, he has invested, and data he has segregated, stored, and then he is doing it. Because he is getting revenue, now I can treat it as an asset. And then law provides me to treat it as an asset on the amount of goodwill I generate. I always say the goodwill, the amount of marketing I get it, amount of business I am able to get it. All these people I do have, all these are all goodwills. On this, yes, law allows me to treat it as an asset because I am getting income out of it. Like that, we should, what data we have, raw data today, we should convert into useful information. Not only that, we should share those informations in the exchange, because my alone, lonely information has no value. Navi sir has already explained to you. When such informations are aggregated in the exchange may be able to sell it to another person who is a prospective businessman. At that time, I will get a money where I will again give your part of your profit. That kind of model can be thought of. Even today, there is no harm at all. There is no embargo or any stoppage for it, because we are dealing with non-personal data only. We don't have to go to even personal data which are anonymized as on today, because we have so much of non-personal data being wasted. So it's being not done. This is where we can take up our work on priority, where we have to, especially we are losing the race. We are thinking that for the future one we are waiting. No, why do you wait? We have already lost 20 years. I'm telling you. From last 20 years, we could have segregated all these things. We are late already. People have already made huge profits out of it. By the time we try to enter, we are the late comers, late bloomers, like IP law. Today, we're thinking of doing blooming in the IP law, where US figures have been overtaken by China. You look into the IP they have created. We are nowhere, even in the IP regime. We are very, very slow and sluggish. And data, we have not even thought of. Only people in those like Navi have thought of it. So there is need of that kind of movement where you start developing this kind of cultural exchanges. That could happen, and you should come out with Navi exchange or some other exchange where we can do it in a smaller way and then start looking into this, playing with this. That's what my opinion. More Mr. Navi can add.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think we have spent enough time. Mr. Prakash, go ahead.
Would request Wing Commander S.K. Prakash to give the vote of thanks. But before that, Prakash, just give a minute to Mr. Ramesh Venkatraman. He wants to say a few words. Ramesh, over to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sir, there is no question or something. Both of you, sirs, too good, too good. Beyond that, I don't have any other word. What an energy, what a knowledge. We all, we are all lucky to be part of this group and your sessions. Thank you very much, really. Nothing else. Great, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your humble comment. Thank you.
Over to you, S.K. Prakash.
Yeah, thank you, Sangyogita. So, as Ramesh rightly mentioned, it was a wonderful session. In fact, we had both the stalwarts of our group, Kodan Ram sir and Vijay Shankar Navi sir, both of them. And the topic, of course, very relevant topic with the coming in of the non-personal data rule or rather regulations which Chris Gopal committee is sort of recommended, and possibly if at all or if and when it rolls out, we will possibly be the first country in the world to have such a regime. So yes, thank you Navi sir and Kodandaram sir for taking us through the initial pieces on, of course, the Niti Aayog paper on DIPA, the definition of smart, linking physical with cyber, then the industrial revolution 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And of course, as Kodandaram sir rightly mentioned, the loss of GI, because of improper documentation, and how we need to be smart. Of course, in the digital world, there are enough opportunities and mechanisms to be smart. And then we moved on to the final point of, how to have a structure or in place to sort of monetize data. Because that's what is lacking, of course, and thanks to Kodandaram sir for explaining. In fact, Meena Lal had mentioned in the chat box about Ind AS, and Kodandaram sir, I think we are all talking to each other without talking to each other. That's the best part. Kodandaram sir's slide comes on Ind AS 38, and he nicely explains the cost method versus cost incurred, market method versus the similar products method, and then the income method and the cash flow method. So fantastic, sir. I think yes, in fact, Navi sir, I think my request is whenever like you had the discussion with the parliamentary committee on the PDPA, as and when of course discussions happen on this, I think this is a very important point, in fact, which I think has to go from of course the ministry which is handling the data protection to the finance ministry, because at the end of the day, the finance ministry has to come out with the valuation. Only then the auditors would accept what the companies have put into their balance sheet. So there will be two ministries involved. So yes, I think as we talk about it, we can possibly build more on this, and then you will have more talking points whenever you get a chance to speak to the people who matter on this. So thank you very much.
Just imagine if the entire Tata group starts looking at non-personal data and consolidating it in the next 2 years, that data will be more valuable than Jio.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So thank you, Navi sir, and thank you, Kodandaram sir, for the wonderful presentation. We had a good time, in fact. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thank you all for the session. Thank you, Sanyogita,
Thank you.
for
everyone.
anchoring. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Navi sir, and thank you,
Thank you,
Kodandaram
Anand
sir.
Patnam. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Big thanks to Vijay Shankar. You have put me
Thank you.
elephant into a keta you brought. I have avoided FDPPR, but you made it inevitable. That you have given no time for my preparation. Hope I will be able to live up to your expectations. Thank you.
Actually, I never thought that we would be able to have 1 hour of discussion like this. Now it appears that we could have had for even more also, because if we had taken questions, we would have had much more.
Absolutely.
So it was actually good that you brought out the points properly so that we are able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you all.